I think that is really terrifying for people postpartum. They don't realize it's like the little things, right? Going to the bathroom, sex.
I would love for this to be a thing. Like for everyone who has a baby who's like taking their newborn photos and like, oh, look at me, like to also hold up their bag of laxatives and Tylenol.
I'm Dr. Meggie Smith. It's really nice to meet you both.
My name is Maria Alcoke. I am based in Maryland and I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Hi, I'm Jenny LaRoche. I live in New York City. I'm a Broadway and television actress and performer. I have a 6-month-old, so I have plenty of questions and all the things to talk about.
So the postpartum period really refers to the time, at which the baby's born, and then really the end point is not well defined or really agreed upon. What we're referring to is your physiology going back to what it was in your pre-pregnancy state, because so much does change when you're pregnant. Most people thought of the postpartum period as 6 weeks. I think now we're really understanding that lasts a lot longer.
I think that there's a lot of confusion around that 6-week mark. That's when you get your postpartum check. That's when, most often you get cleared for exercise. And a lot of women, I think, are confused by that. So what does that mean? Does that mean I can just go start running, training for my marathon again? I was a little intimidated to go back to what I would call like normal activity. I mean, I was completely exhausted emotionally and physically. So I definitely believe that the postpartum period is significantly longer than 6 weeks. And in some cases, people say, postpartum's forever because your body has gone through a life-changing experience.
6 weeks I find totally laughable, and I get it to an extent of like, I was cleared to do everything, but I think
I would say like 2 to 2.5 months is that I personally felt located. I think just from pushing for so long and from laboring for so long, your body physically takes time to heal. I think the most traumatic things that no one wants to share post labor is the fear that I would have using the bathroom.
Oh yeah, that's a huge one. People are very afraid of that first poop.
So for anyone that's gonna watch the first time that you have a bowel movement or even like urinating, like I was like, oh my God, am I going to hurt myself? That was like I was terrified.
When talking about women's circles and just connecting with friends and talking about your experiences, like you never want to scare someone away, right? You don't want to say like, oh yeah, did you hear about the vaginal tear that I had? Like people don't necessarily want to hear that, but it's part of the process, right? It happens, it's super common.
Even like sexually, like the healing of my vagina.
I think that no one really talks about like sex postpartum, but most women are not at 6 weeks. It is the rare person that is ready for that again, mainly because you're exhausted. You are still coming out of a really, first of all, a physically laborious experience, birthing a child. Then now you're barely sleeping, and then I think people don't realize that your hormones are sort of in a menopausal state almost when you are breastfeeding, because your estrogen is still so low that you can have things like hot flushes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, a lot of things that no one really talks about.
Pregnancy is one thing, but postpartum and labor, and those are the things that I think we have so little expectation for. Every single thing that I had planned went out the window, and I was having such a hard time. Like I wanted control over so much, and there's so little that you have control over when you have a baby. They are not inside of you anymore, and they are not you, they are their own person. And I struggled with that for a really long time, and I never really put a label on it. I never said I have PPD, I have PPA. But with my second, I was super aware of the fact that I knew I was going to have the similar feelings, even though I did my best to manage them. But I think everyone needs to know that they're not alone in that. Like, that no one is immune to those heavy and like extreme emotions in postpartum.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I didn't know anything about postpartum anxiety. I knew and heard very much about postpartum depression. And so, you know, I was like, okay, as long as I don't have any of those red flags, you know, I'm good. It's almost like every emotion that you feel is heightened. That's how I felt for me. I was already an anxious person during this pandemic. I had no idea that postpartum now was going to skyrocket that anxiety of caring for not just myself, but this little human, you know, and just feeling like, I know a lot of moms talk about like mom guilt or like mom shame, and like all of that was just heightened.
I think women are we're strong and we're empowered and we're independent. And so a lot of times that can work for us, and in other cases it can work against us, because it's like, you know, trying to find your instinct and trying to go with your gut can get you in a position where it's like, oh gosh, I really should have asked for help up front.
I feel like a passenger in my own body. I think that's the best way to describe it. But what you're saying just validates and like makes me feel less crazy, because I was like, is it just me?
It's real and you can't really prepare for it. But yeah, hopefully our conversation helps women understand that, like, yeah, this is pretty common. This is what we go through, and we're better for it on the other side, right?
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.